Elder to you, Joe?
She's elder to me, yeah.
Or local.
About a year older
Yeah.
than I am.
I can't rent it for that. She says I wouldn't be able to.
I think-
Think?
She was in grade 10, I think. When I started grade 9 high school.
Yeah.
Don't you want to go something?
Morning. Morning. Yeah.
Oh, to ask you the app that you use for hunting, Clayton was interested.
Traveling or sat at home.
Probably the same one that I asked Ross about years ago.
It's the one with the deer's head on it there.
Terrible task.
It's like a map or something.
Next time I'll go do it for you.
The Hunt Stand app is free, and there's limited stuff on them for free. I pay a $40 a year fee for the pro version. You just buy it on the App Store.
Yeah.
And then that gives you the
What is it now?
property info so that you can click on a property. It tells you the size, gives you the PIN number, so you can check with North Bay. Some of the stuff when you check with North Bay, there's a fee. I usually get the PIN number and then I call Tracy.
No, that's good.
It also gives you the road allowances on there. Some of them are sketchy. They'll show a road allowance and then there's a piece of crown land and they don't go across and they don't know why.
Clayton was back out somewhere. Basically hunting. And he said, all of a sudden there's a, right with that app?
Yes. If it's crown land, it just comes up and says no info.
Right.
And there's no PIN number.
And it is what.
But if it's deeded property, the info is there. But some of those, 911 numbers doesn't necessarily mean that there's private property there. If it's a recreation property that we think an ambulance could be called to,
Okay.
we added them in.
All right.
Like those hiking trails, they're in there, but it's not. And some of those ones, I'm thinking of a couple off of Victoria Lake Road. There's no property there. It's just.
Access.
Working for CETA.
I asked,
That big.
I think Jamie for the use of the TV person, so I didn't have to write something.
Yeah.
Did they just buy?
Yes.
One of them, did they just buy one of them?
And this hunt stand, it automatically renews. It notifies me about a week before that it's gonna come out of my credit card.
Right.
So I could cancel it if I wanted to. Like for $40 a year. Actually, I showed that to those people at the bridge there.
Yes.
And they said it was better than their app and they're paying $4,000 a year for it.
Wow.
I still can't believe that.
Wow.
I said $40 a year.
Let's hope you get your bridge.
Well, we're gonna get it one or the other, just, we're not gonna get it. I would like it, but it is what it is. Try and make the best of it.
No, but your bridge.
Oh, yeah,
across.
bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's an easy solution, and in 4 years you've got
it
that.
makes a solution for access while it's under construction.
Yeah.
There's some, but there's other
But
ones.
there's, you have to cross that crown trail. Somebody right away said, oh, you can't do that because there'll be kids there. There shouldn't be kids there. If your kids are out there unsupervised, they should be old enough to see if there's traffic.
Right. You feel intimidated if you sit up there or what?
And I know, like, even.
How are you?
Even someone that
I know, I was supposed to ask you something, Clayton says you need to ask me, John. Okay, but I don't remember what it is. Met a nice lovely couple that's living up at the East Gate, one of the houses yesterday.
We're trying to get them to buy property in Whitman.
Yes.
They came from.
But really.
Originally from
Kyle,
Lincoln.
right?
You have
Kyle.
your grand on a good day.
Kyle must have, so,
Yeah, he was saying he has a house somewhere that he needs to sell and then he can buy something.
Sanders down in Barbados.
Someone new
right
in the
now,
party?
and we're gonna-
yeah, I took over as the business services. We were lucky to get him. It's, you know, it's hard to recruit nowadays.
I just felt sorry for him. They didn't stick around only because the kids were little and needed to probably go to bed, but I was just, I thought of them as I was going home, trying to sort of link her with other people of the same age, and it's like, gosh, I've been out of the picture for a while, but, and she has two young kids,
Yeah.
you
They're
know.
not going
Yeah, she can't stay at home, she'll go nuts,
Oh,
right? She
yeah.
thinks, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting is Richie Siegel used to say this to me all the time, is everything comes full circle, right?
Not right now.
And I kill for those houses up on Maple Drive right now, because
Yes.
that's where his family should be living.
Yeah.
That's, and that way is they get here, the community embraces them and they don't leave.
No,
They don't leave.
no,
Like, you think all the people that lived in those houses,
yes,
they didn't, it wasn't.
no,
That's
no,
where they raised their families.
no.
Love to have that kid, but. It's late for another one that comes back.
George Scott's wife, she taught ceramic pottery and sewing, and I took all those courses up there.
I'm just gonna wait for my colleague to come back. There might be a couple of the people who join us who we've just heard that Gabriella is on her way, but might be late for a few minutes. And so we'll just wait till Marilyn gets back. Just doing a quick bio break.
Yeah, and there's no, I mean, I guess there's the toy bus and with the people and that regards, but again, I hope she does okay up there, because
It's isolated.
it is isolated, even though it's only, 5 miles away. It still is. You don't have that community.
Check some vehicles and some now. So it's gonna be absolutely crazy. It's gonna affect small, well, not so much because.
Yeah, Chad.
I know, but you know what? We, I had a talk with Chad last week about safety in our fire
In
trucks.
certain areas, but like anywhere.
It's an entire day for him to certify the fire truck.
Yes. You just might.
So for little operations, I shouldn't say little, like Kyle Rogers, to certify his trucks and all his trailers now, it's absolutely crazy. And the cost of it is tripled
He said they're gonna look.
because everything has to be photographed, documented.
On a boat.
It wouldn't be that extensive for a pickup.
Commercially, if it's like in my trucks are commercial, yeah, he's gotta take everything. Down. It's gonna be all race off. He's gotta take care of all of it. That's my great.
You don't have to take them out.
Seriously. To get that yellow sticker on my truck, and the same with the trailers, with everything else.
I think we've already adopted that years ago, like.
My favorite.
One ton
Thank
per
you.
big, 1 ton's
How did you
bigger.
know?
I did not know. I should
CDL, our stamp on them, we've always, we've always.
But now the price has gone up because it's more detailed, right? It's more time.
I think those are Sugar Creek.
Are they? That's great. I could have two then.
That's what she told me when she filled them.
Every 6 months now. Every 6 months.
I think we'll get started. Like I said, Gabrielle is apparently still on her way, but yeah, that we're all back here. I hope you don't mind us sitting down. For this, we were having a little conversation because we thought there would just be a couple people online and the people not feeling well and asking over the weekend and things about zooming in. So we have a little bit more. So our plan for doing the conversations, which is a large part of today, and getting you into small groups, Tracy's doing a little creative, our Tracy is doing a little creative thinking on that about working that piece out. But we'll get going and she'll surprise us with what her plan is as the master facilitator of our group. Wanted to thank you all for coming back. It's been almost a month since we first met. And we really are looking at building on what we heard at that meeting, around the vision and the values. And, since then, we've been doing ongoing research and on desktop research and information connecting with, organizations and agencies, to fill out pieces, and also doing, one-on-one interviews. And we still have some of those left to do, just around timing wise with individuals that we want to talk to. So we still have a few of those outstanding. But when we get later in today, really, after today, and our real focus then is going to turn to getting everything down into a document, and into a plan, at this point. So this is a really important component to get feedback and ideas and that for the plan itself. So thank you for being part of the process, and thank you for coming today again and participating. We do appreciate it. And the mayor not feeling top today and being at home, Sean has taken on the responsibility for doing the land acknowledgement.
I guess we're gonna do it again. One second. There we go. Good morning, everybody. We acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people, specifically the Madawaska-Rini people of the Madawaska River. We further acknowledge that the Algonquin people have been stewards of this land since time immemorial, and we strive to treat the land along with its flora and fauna it supports, the people, their customs, and traditions, with honor and respect. Today, this area is home to the people of all walks of life, and we acknowledge the shared opportunities and responsibilities to live, work, and survive within this beautiful territory. She McGlitch, all my relations.
Thank you. I actually changed the batteries on this thing. This is a new one and it seems to be temperamental. You go past that one. I don't know why that's like it on there. So yeah, so today's agenda, and in your packages, you've got a copy of the agenda and the timing that we want to do, and apparently I've got to make up time already. And but again, today, a lot of it is going to be done in small groups and is going to be turned over to the participants that are part of this to get your input and your ideas. And that's going to be done through a series of conversations, we're calling them. And then we'll come back and to chambers after you've kind of roamed around into different groups. There'll be an opportunity to add more, see what all the groups have done in those sessions and those conversations in a gallery walk. We'll do a wrap up at the end, which we'll be back in here all together, and we'll let you know about the next steps that we're taking. Kind of already gave you a little synopsis of. So that's sort of what our plan is to cover today. And thank you, perfect. Wow, this is even better than a clicker. So we just wanted to kind of recap again, pulling from the first workshop, but also kind of filling in and I think in our research and also in the interviews that we've been doing, it's reaffirmed a lot of the information that we did here in the first workshop for sure. So information that's been resonating. Introductions. Yeah.
Interruption.
Okay.
It's just thinking because we have a different group.
Do we have a few changes of people?
People,
Good
so
point.
maybe just
Yes.
names would be.
Sure, yeah, thank you.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's no worries, sorry.
Yeah, can we just, maybe more for our benefit, I think,
Yes.
right? Of just going around, who's at the table, because there are some new faces for sure. Brian, you want to start?
I guess I could,
Yeah.
yeah. Brian Martin, CAO for the township.
Barney Wager.
seen emails and heard the name, but it's nice to put a face to it.
Oh, my.
Lori Sidock, counselor.
And Joan Kuyak, counselor.
Sean Pigeon, counselor.
Bill Rodnick, counselor.
Melanie Wright, Community Futures.
Koyani Bojo, Christina Dijna Kas Madawaska Zibindonjiba, Jijak and Dodem, Mamunini Nishnabek Plandao. So my name is Christine. Wasaya Consulting, Wasaya Cultural Tours.
John Swick from Algonquin Park.
Joel Florent, counselor.
I'm Earl Bidgood, working with the Ainley Group on this project, and very nice to be back in your community, and thank you for coming.
And I'm Sue Ainley with the Ainley Group,
Tracy Cannon, Curtis Township.
and at the back.
Hey, I'm the other Tracy, and I'm with Sue and Marilyn. Great to see you, and could we also take moments for the?
Yeah, I was just asking, could we ask for those online just to do a hello?
Hi. Valley Mayor, Township, just want to say thank you everyone for coming out doing the second step of this, and appreciate your indulgence. Have a great afternoon and morning.
Hey, Scott Merks with Indigenous Tourism Ontario. I'm calling from Treaty 20 territory, close to Oshawa. Nice to be here.
Scott. Thanks, Angela.
Macy Smith Arnovich. I'm a Community Economic Development Officer from FedNor. I was happy to be there in person the first round, and I'm joining online the second round. And thanks everyone for coming out.
James Murphy, CEO with Explorers Edge, Regional Tourism Organization 12. We have former board members Christina Lukasavich and Angela Pollock here today joining, and Gabriella, our chair, is on her way in as well. So thank you for having us, and looking forward to see what the outcomes are.
Great, great. And James, just so you know, Gabriella is just taking her coat off.
Perfect. There she is.
Would you like to, we just did a quick introduction. Would you like to just introduce?
Yeah,
Really,
Gabrielle
just-
Heravidian, and the chair of the RTO 12, and also the treasurer of South Algonquin Business Alliance, and I own 4 seasons Algonquin Cabins in Madawaska.
Thank you, thank you. So some new faces and a few additions online and around the table, which is great. So for those that were at the last session, what we're gonna cover next on what we've heard and where we're at. You'll have heard this. For the new folks, this may be a little bit of a new bit of information. So what we heard and sort of what was resonating was discussions and information around tourism readiness. Kind of around that was, you know, we heard about we're hearing lots about seasonality, extending seasons maybe. We've heard lots around potential product growth and ideas around that. Potential, we've heard lots and lots around potential. We've heard about the park being a huge attractor for sure, and the number of accommodations and maybe some missing pieces too within sort of that tourism destination, more of a destination and the tourism piece, and I won't dwell on where you eat and restaurants. I know that keeps on coming up for sure. Around community was another sort of area or theme that we have definitely heard a lot about. And we've heard lots of good things about community and strength and history. We've heard lots about you know, people being here for generations, and heard about newcomers too. But we've also, you know, the connection to the park again around that community piece. We've heard things around and about you know, where does tourism fit, and do we want tourism, and how should it look, right? And definitely tourism management might be an aspect to think about kind of dealing that. Do you want tourism? We heard quick wins, easy, what we're calling easy fixes. Nothing's really easy, but easy fixes or quick wins around web links, in particular around sort of local know around what should be, again, tourism facing and not tourism facing, I think. And then a broad thing, it's kind of, go economic development. Well, isn't this an economic development plan? Yes, it is. But around that, we've heard things around lack of diversity and a quality place to live, work, and play. We've heard things around being tourism heavy or accommodation heavy, I'd say. And again, that idea of do we want tourism and how should it look? And new opportunities in other sectors, right? Outside of tourism, outside of forestry, that may be on the horizon or possibilities. If we recapturing sort of motives, why people showed up the first time and why you showed up again, was you feel an importance about this community and you want to be part of the process. You want to, people love their community. They want to see it prosper. We've heard about lots about struggles, lots about change over time, things being in decline. It's always, it's a little heart-wrenching for us to hear that. And I think that also feeds into the whole idea of businesses feeling that they're in survival mode. And how do we move from, how do we continue survival, but how do we get to a thriving business climate as well and in that local community? And the potential, right? The potential for tourism here, the potential for other sectors, the potential for forestry as well. And inclusion. You want it to be part of the process. And you want the plan to be for the future. You do want the community to continue and you want to be part of how that happens. You want a connection as well. And also inclusive of all people and inclusive of Indigenous people in the community as well. And then on our values, so things that are forming what we feel are kind of the values of your community, what are important around that are your history. Is embracing and connecting to nature is very, very strong and is a unique feature of this community too, I think. Collaboration and communications, fostering those and having those as part of the value of the plan going forward. Looking for innovation and funding. Having it so that this is a place where people can live and work or work and live. It being very important as well. And recognition of the Algonquin territory within the values, okay? And what we heard, so the vision, so we kind of look at, what is the vision, where do people, and what were the themes around that, and what we're hearing in, and like I said, the interviews and stuff that we're doing is, and you remember this is like, what were the top 5 things that came out of your values and things within the first workshop was, we definitely at the top of that list are hearing jobs, right? Retention of jobs, creation of jobs. How do we get people to come here to take jobs? How do we fill the shortfall that we're seeing in our 2 major industries being tourism and forestry? So jobs, definitely top of the line. In the vision of what we're hearing, tourism initiatives, looking at how to build on what's already here. And which is related to the embracing the nature aspect and getting outdoors. So that's what we've been hearing on the values and the visions, like I said, starting at the workshop and since then, that are really, really important to what we feel is important to this community and has helped us kind of think about what how we're going to structure the plan and what we're putting together. But before we get there, you'll notice that on your guides that we gave you, there's a nice pink sticky note. And so we'd like you just to take, I covered it really quickly, but also you've probably given a lot of thought between our first workshop and today. And an opportunity just for you to think about, the vision and the values of your community that we kind of presented back to you. And capture and reflect on that and capture in a few sentences, anything that you think resonates with you or anything that you think we may have also missed that you think is important. So I'll give you, Tracy, how long am I giving people?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
And for people online, I'm wondering if you would direct chat to the meeting host so it can be in confidence. Will you guys get that on this end?
The chat, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and then we can download it. Does that work? So for people online?
I've got the document loaded. I'm answering the questions online. Is that not good enough? Do you want me to add that to the chat as well, or?
That works.
That works. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. So we'll give you, just kind of wrap up. We're pretty much at the 3-minute mark. And if we'd like to just collect those up. And we'll use them for we'll use them for references after the meeting.
I'll just come around. When we're ready, I'll send it over. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. It's been much fun so far. It's awesome. Right. Thank you.
So
Chocolate mint.
with thinking about the values and the vision, and what we're hearing, and what's motivating people to be here, I am going to, I guess, try to tactfully, we have heard a lot about tensions and conflict happening and things like that. Recognizing in group processes, Tracy, we all work in community and community development and things, and I always say one of my favorite things is, if you could take the people out of things, It'd be so much easier, right? But it's the ideas, it's the power, it's the passion that people bring to the table and their willingness to sit down in rooms like this, to work together, to communicate with each other, to work together. And so a little bit of conflict can be very, very productive because it brings different thoughts, different processes, different points of views that hopefully at the end of the day will create something that's great. But it can also be quite damaging as well. So trying to find a nice balance is always difficult. And if if we came into a circumstance and there was no conflict and no difference of opinions, you kind of wonder why you're there. Although for me, it'd be great not to have any of that, right? But it's in doing community development, but there always is an element of it. So kind of we have heard that as well. And we're hoping, again, we're trying to be forward facing and we're trying to look to the future and we're trying to put a plan together that is going to be a township plan, be a document for the township to use, to allocate their resources, allocate time, money, support, and focus on what they're doing to benefit the community. And really our approach is to have that to be forward facing. But we kind of have heard a lot about where you're at and how you got here, right? So we just want to, I guess, address that and let you know that we're looking to be forward facing. Okay. So with that, sort of what while we're thinking about structuring the plan and areas of it, we're thinking of sort of three main strategies, or not strategies, but areas that we're looking at putting strategies in place. And so we're calling these the 3 Ps. So we're calling it, and the 3 Ps relate to people, place, and partnership. Okay? And we're looking at the strategies around that. And when you get to the conversations, you're going to help us flush out some of the information, some of the tangibles around those for sure, and it'd be really valuable to us. So I just want to kind of right now, and these are, don't take these as set in stone. We're still kind of working them, but to give us sort of parameters, I guess, and concepts around what we're thinking or how we are envisioning these 3 Ps. The first one, place. So if you look at it, and I guess, like I said, we're still kind of working on this, but what we see as the concept under place is that it would champion what makes South Algonquin communities special for lifelong residents and for visitors, strengthen the township's unique identity, natural assets, and placemaking attributes to make a sustainable community, and create South Algonquin as a place people want to live, work, and play. So under the place, that's some of the, I guess, the idea, like, the long game that we're looking at around what that concept looks like and entails, okay? So champion what's here already, and recognizing that although we talk about South Algonquin, we've learned through some of the work that we've been doing about that it's a number of communities that have come together. So for a while, we kept on talking earlier about it being one community, South Algonquin as one community, but we're thinking that it's still through the amalgamation process and things, there's some division between different communities, which could be okay, recognizing their unique features, okay? And then the concept that we're working on around people is looking to retain lifelong residents and attract newcomers to South Algonquin. Through community building, fostering and celebrating a strong sense of pride, leveraging tourism to introduce visitors to South Algonquin where they can see the potential of living and working here. Retaining youth and encouraging those who have left, talking about young people or people who left in their youth, about opportunities to come back to the township, and that maybe they become new employers and part of the skilled workforce. Okay. And then the other concept around partnership is really recognizing that collaboration is going to be required to support economic development. It's not unique to this community. I think that's something that all communities, but definitely rural communities, have to see that collaboration is really important. And is it possible for government, or in recognizing that it's impossible for government or a single group to overcome economic development challenges on their own and to achieve success? This means building cohesion and determining roles for stakeholders involved in that process, and include, looking at including internal, but also external stakeholders, and clarifying within those relationships who's leading and who's going to follow and who's going to support them. Okay, so those are the broad things that we're working on around defining those concepts, those areas of the plan, and then thinking about strategies, the much more tangible things that come underneath those of what the plan is going to look like, and actions that can be worked forward over the coming years. Okay. Tracy, am I allowed to ask if anyone has any questions about these? Okay, all right. My time master back there, yeah. Anyone, and when you get to the breakouts, although we've had some reconfiguration, we'll have the concepts, what they're looking like, for you to reference as well when you're working on the conversations. Okay. All good. Perfect. I've done pretty good to almost bring us back on to time.
Oh, we have Angela has raised her hand.
Angela? That's why we were a little bit late starting. We were having a little team conversation about that. So what you're seeing on this slide is not the case. At the back of the room, we have Tracy came up with a new rotation so that this room, because we do have quite a few people online, and you'll have an opportunity to be in each one of the topic areas, each one of the keys. Yeah, so we've reconfigured that so that there's the opportunity here. It's for everyone who's in the room. We're going to have to tell you where to go next or where the opportunities are next when we get to the breakout rooms. Okay. Yeah. So we've worked that out on the fly. It's always a fun thing about when you end up, as Tracy has educated us so well on our team about when you get to a hybrid section, and where you've got people online and people in person. And that's why we have a great facilitator here. And I'll turn it over to you to talk about the conversations.
Okay, sure. And thanks for raising that, Angela. One of the things that has been voiced as being really important to people and is important to us is inclusion. So when you're online, we are trying to give a similar experience to the person people that are here. And I'll say similar to, and so leave it open to yourselves as we go, to just let us know how it's going. So we have the 3 topics that Sue outlined: the place, people, and partnerships. And for each one of those, there's a couple of questions, and those are just conversation guides. And really the purpose, as Sue said, was to start to, and for some of you, it's definitely not a start, but to record some of those key tangible actions, activities that you see as really key to moving forward on each of those topics: place, people, and partnerships. So all of those questions are in your guide that you have in front of you or online to please have downloaded. And as we just said, we made a new rotation plan. So don't even worry about that in your guide, but it's posted back here so we can always refer to. And for folks online in council chambers, we're going to do this order. Partnership first, then people, and then place. So that'll be our rotation. In every room, there is a flip chart for somebody to record your ideas for you. That can be one of you, or it can be one of the facilitators. Marilyn, Sue, and I will be sticking with a room each. Yes, I'm going to be here in the council chambers. Who's going to be in Brian's office? Thank you for letting us use it again. That Sue will go in Brian's office and Marilyn in the kitchen. Right on. And the idea here, just building on what Sue is saying, is really, you know, if you hang out with somebody in your day-to-day life, whether it be as members of council or in an association, please mix around and hear, work in groups with people that you don't usually encounter. So you can hear, ask questions about those perspectives maybe that don't align with yours, and see where we can go from there. Now, this is a bit silly, but when I'm in groups like this, I always have a hard time getting a word in edgewise. I wait for people to take a breath and then try to jump in, but usually I'm too late and people tell me, well, you didn't say anything. But I have a lot of ideas, and I know all of you do as well. So in the middle of the table, there's one of these things. And so if you are having trouble getting a word in, if you just want to grab it as a way, as a signal to everybody else, hey, give me a chance. And then people should defer to the person that has the, whatever it may be. This one's an idea. So hopefully that works for you, so you don't walk away from here maybe frustrated that you didn't get to say what you've been thinking about for the last month or year, who knows. So every half hour, we're going to rotate. If you feel that you love a particular topic a lot, you're welcome to stay for more than one time block. They're half an hour each. So, hey, if partnerships is your thing, feel free to stay in partnerships for a couple of time blocks. But we really encourage you to, again, go to each of those topics, or at least more than one. Every 30 minutes, the three of us will call time, and then you can have a little stretch break. We'll rotate the topic, and then we can get going again. In the kitchen, which is where people are going to start, there are snacks. So it's fruit, as I recall. There's also candy in the middle of your tables if you need energy. But I think that's got it. An explanation on process. Does anybody have questions or concerns? No? Yes?
Well, not on process, I apologize. I should have asked this at the front end when we were doing the introduction. So it's good to see some new people participating, but I also see some people that aren't here, specifically industry, right? And so just wondering, is there a reason why they're not part of this today? Maybe it's not my business to ask that question, but it's.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we actually had a meeting just beforehand, specifically focused on the lumber and forestry with Jamie and Liam, and members of the EDC of the council, I guess not EDC council. So we sat down with them. We've had some individual conversations, Marilyn and I, with them, and also with Brian and with council about that. So we're actually working with them directly, and Liam was going to stay in because we did have the meeting earlier and he's got to get back. So he said, do you mind if I, so he was going to stay, but kind of said, you know, do you mind if I get back? I got to get back, right? Yeah. So we are still doing them. This, I guess, in a little ways has become a little bit more tourism focused on that, and the forestry lumber side, we've been engaging with them, and this morning was engagement with them directly, and we're looking to connect with them with another agency that does specific work around the bioeconomy. Yeah.
I think the whole idea was, I think some of them felt that maybe their industry was not, were more focused on the tourism and they didn't want to get lost in that. So we felt it was important to extrapolate their information separately and address them as part of the planning process, but make sure we got their ideas noted and marked down as part of the process so that we could focus this group more on the tourism side of the economic activity in the community.
Okay, great, thanks.
Hi.
Are you going to be able to share that information with like Community Futures or somebody that is more interested in the industry trends and concerns?
Sure, yeah, so with that, maybe we can connect, because actually we had that, things were moving really quick last week about setting that up, and then an opportunity to bring everyone together before today's meeting this morning happened, and literally at like 3 o'clock on Friday, right? And well, yeah, it was a lot of moving parts, right? We thought we were just going to meet one-on-one, actually, because we had already, anyway, long story short, yes, and that was one of the things when we were driving up, kind of going, oh, wait a minute. And Community Futures was part of the thing, but it was kind of a, oh my gosh, this is happened at, it happened at the end of the day. But yeah, the next steps, we were talking about next steps and a meeting. So we will, yeah, definitely, you were definitely someone who we were wondering about that. So thank you for capturing that.
So we have Angela has raised her hand.
Hi, Angela.
No, it was around lumber industry, so no, my question was answered, and I appreciate that.
So I can speak to that. There are a couple, so our intent was that the first workshop into the second workshop, to try to have the same people involved, because one built on the other. So that's around the design, about our work. There are a few people who unfortunately have given regrets because they have things that are happening in their life, that they weren't able to come here. But I guess everyone who was at the last one, business-wise, at the first workshop was extended an invitation for this one. Like I said, I did get a couple of regrets from business owners who, even at the beginning, kind of said, I can make it to the first one, not sure about the second one. And then have one in particular was waiting for a doctor's appointment and is having surgery today. So that's, I guess, partly around design, and partly around just availability of people with the 2 days. Yes, yeah, so we'll definitely acknowledge who's been part of the process, yes. Okay. Are we?
Okay, so more about kind of content, which is great. So it's about 1:45. If we could go to about 1:15. So here's the first rotation is council chambers is partnership. The kitchen is people, where the snacks are, by the way. And place is in Brian's office. Thank you for hosting. Okay, so, and if the group is gonna be about equalish, so that's maybe 5 or 6 people in each of the rooms. Yeah? My addition is correct.
So we have 5 already.
Yeah, so maybe a couple extra people stay in here. And then if everybody wants to find a home in Brian's office or the kitchen for half an hour, that would be great. Your topics are posted on the wall. Yeah.
I remember, you have such an historic gate at the east gate. The west is illuminated. The east is not. Would you please? And you hardly see it until you're right on. And although you're supposed to be going 50. You could miss it if you're going. Write that down.
No, can I give you the response?
Yes. I know. Yes, go ahead. I have to go. Or maybe I'll stay.
We'll talk some.
No, I know you had floodlights up there or the flashing.
Well, Waltz came in and I said, turn them on. Cause we thought, maybe there was a solar or something, right? And they said, no, it needs to be all restructured.
Nothing has ever supported this.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here.
Okay.
Stay here.
So you only want two, right?
I'm just cutting grass.
I'm gonna hit the kitchen and closer to lunch.
It's such a pretty thing, and that's what both of us said we came through.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I asked him once, but that's good that you looked into it.
So, well, we're not done yet, but it was interesting, I don't know who it was. For years, it worked at, Colonial.
Yeah.
And talked about, you come around that last corner, it's dark at night, you come around that corner and you can see it all. It's kind of like, okay, good, I'm fine. Right, it's, no more looking for moose and,
No, that's-
gripping that steering wheel and stuff, so. Yeah, we need to get it fixed, yeah.
And then it was also interesting, because it's been ages since I've been through it at night. And not only is it dark, but where you did all the work up at the Menacing Trail. Isn't it the Menacing Trail?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, wow.
Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna set my timer, everyone, so I don't get too off track. Where on earth is it? There we go. Timer. Okay, hello, excellent. Welcome to everybody to partnership. So if you have your guide here, the partnership questions are right at the back. And they are as follows. What collaborative ideas or actions could support destination development? For example, creating an accommodation operators network or a trails task force. Just examples, please don't get hung up on them if they're not good. Okay, number 2, historically, South Algonquin has pulled together to find and implement community solutions. Building on past successes of collaboration, how will you and or your organization contribute to, the next steps of tourism and economic development in the area? So maybe we'll start with number 1. And again, we're thinking about partnerships, and these are an entry into conversation. I can take notes on this flip chart here with your ideas. So who would be kind enough to start? Everybody.
No, there's nobody monitoring
You know
it.
what? We're all just around the table, so would you just jump in as if we're, we are all here together. Thank you. Anybody want to or can build on that or react to that?
It's definitely apparent that the tourism and the tourists are definitely maybe not as mindful when they're in South Algonquin versus when they're in the park, because the park does lay out quite a few rules, regulations when you are enjoying that, but
Mhm.
definitely outside. And I'm not just saying it's tourists, it's probably residents as well. Sometimes you do see things that are, thrown in the woods just because it's easier to do it there than elsewhere. So
I don't know, use the washer. I'm not sure what it used for anymore. It's good that it looks like there's capital money being spent on it, so, but I wonder if that's part of the issue is, let's not call it enforcement, let's call it ambassadors. That's that to me, that's a better word
absolutely.
of how that is, individuals need to take some of this on to make sure that people are accountable. In municipal world, is that by law? I'm not quite sure what it would mean, but I wonder if that's part of the reason. Cause we got a ton of officers in Algonquin Park who enforce. But at the same time, we've got a really strong marketing communication.
Absolutely.
That
I think
putting out lots of messages, social media, radio, all that stuff as well too.
But I think and that's probably where it is you've marketed what you can and cannot do and bring into the park. And we have not, as individuals, whether or not you're here or down in the city, it's your own morals, what you do with that, can that you got in your hand, or the, spare tire that just seemed to blow up and I'll push it off into the woods instead of taking it home with me, so there's, it's probably more of a marketing and becoming ambassadors for our area.
There's also the
agree.
type of tourist too. There's James with Explorer's Edge, and I agree with the comments that were just made about sort of the enforcement and the sort of the infrastructure that's there with regards to people at the provincial park. They have people going around and enforcing rules and whatnot. So sometimes it's more the communication, everything's there. People choose to ignore it, but sort of the enforcement of that. And I've got 2 young children, and we travel to provincial parks. And through my lens, I also see that international travelers, whether it's American or overseas, that come to the parks are very much more respectful. We saw this at the Torrance Barrens during the pandemic, coming up, and signage, communication, everything was there. But because it was pulling respectfully from a Southern Ontario draw, the amount of garbage and disrespect and stuff was there. But when the pandemic was over and those international travelers started coming back and staying at Clear Lake Brewery and doing Hardy Lake and the Torrance Barrens, that problem started, and Muskoka Lakes Township started, sending bylaws out, maybe doing a bit more signage there, sort of education piece. It sort of it lessened sort of the environmental footprint, but also created a visitor and resident sentiment. It helped bridge that gap between sort of the 2 groups. They were on an even playing field, but I'm not like I said, through my lens of Algonquin Park and the type of visitors, as you attract more international sort of bucket list travelers to your area. And I see this at the provincial parks myself when I'm there. I kind of, because I'm in the sort of business, I chatty around with different campers, and you do see a different style of camper when it's international rather than Southern Ontario. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit's hole, but sort of that's my sort of 2 cents on that.
Okay, and Angela, I should also mention, back to your point about the raise hands, that is a great function we have on Zoom. I made it so everybody's on the screen. So if you do want to jump in and you're needing a kind of a break to do that, please feel free. We can see you now. Well, Yeah, so it sounds like people are really being. Yep. Can you ask you to wrap up, please, Angela? We need to make space for everybody. Please, can you wrap up? Thank you. Okay, thank you. And all of this is under that tourism pledge kind of umbrella at this point in time. So I've captured those notes. And Scott, I saw you jumped in like a few minutes ago. You were unmuted. do you want to add? And then let's hear if we can just kind of brainstorm if there are other ideas percolating so I can put them down. Scott, go ahead.
Hey, hello, everybody. So partnership questions. So this is a different topic because we've only got half an hour to answer 2 questions.
Nice. Yes.
Number 1. So collaborative idea or actions to support destination development. So I was part of a collaboration between Peterborough County, Hiawatha, and Curve Lake First Nation and various townships around Peterborough County. It was called the SETI program, and I think you guys should look into that. Community Economic Development Initiative. It gets everybody in a room, and it was one of the most fabulous collaboration projects that I've ever been a part of. That's my idea. I think you guys should investigate that program.
Could you spell SETI for me and also maybe say what the key things that happened in that were?
So Community Economic Development Initiative, so CEDI.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
In partnership with the Council for the Advancement of Native Development Officers Canada and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And what it created was sort of a roadmap for economic development in a large region. And it gave everybody a really good understanding of other communities, their motivations, their aspirations, their hopes, and their dreams. It was a fabulous project. I'm just thought I'd bring that up as an answer to question number 1 because it worked so well for us when I was an economic development officer at Hiawatha First Nation. And on my notes here that I'm going to email in after this, I'll give you a link to the website.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Hiawatha First Nation as well. Okay, amazing. And then we can see a little bit more what that's about. Any other kind of ideas popping to mind in terms of this collaborative piece?
So it's, go ahead.
Go ahead, James. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so what collaborative ideas or actions within our organization, we do have committees and groups we meet with, but we also set aside a budgeted amount of $166,000 a year for regional partnerships. And we take that fund and make sure it's equitable to everybody involved. So that tends to get collaborative ideas and actions sort of percolating because they know there's an end game here and there's something they can access to help their businesses. So we do partnerships in your neck of the woods. We, the Howell Convention, the Black Fly Festival. We partner with Saba, and at one time we had conversations with the township over signage and partnering with them. It's a 50-50 cost sharing program, but sometimes businesses and individuals, stakeholders know that there's something at the end of the tunnel. We can have as many task force and objectives set aside, but if destination development is going to cost money. I think that's just the reality of it. And having an organization or entity saying, here's an allocated amount set aside in the budget for destination development is an important indicator to get individuals to the table. I think in this current economic situation we find ourselves in, coming out of SEBA loans, out of pandemic, cost of living going up, and social media fatigue, right? How do we get our attention in front of these consumers right now with everything that's going on? And, call a spade. We're ahead of 4 to 6 years of contentious media. So having budget set aside, having some sort of carrot there will allow individuals to start these conversations rather than just another task force or a committee. So maybe it won't work for you. It seems to have worked for us with regards to when we have sort of a town hall, and which we've had 2 over the last year in Whitney. We have a good mix of, I think the one time we had 30 operators come out because we were able to say, okay, you're coming out. It's not falling on deaf ears. We actually have money to set aside to support your endeavors or outcomes of the meeting. Because I think that's what it's coming down to in this sort of economic climate and, what we're dealing with. So that's just sort of collaborative ideas or actions. I think there's a lot of opportunity to get people together in a room. but sort of what are the outcomes, what's the objectives, and how are you going to support that when it comes to having those clear things set out? I think we'll get a good turnout. Rather than just another report. I've been in not-for-profit tourism for 20 years, so I don't have any gray hairs yet. So, but it's you know, having that clearly set aside. And over the years, I found now when we go into meetings, we're like, okay, we're coming here, but the outcome is we'll be able to fund some outcomes of this meeting, and we have a budget set aside, approved by the board of directors.
Good stuff. Yes, go ahead.
That's all?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's no doubt if we don't form partnerships, we're going to fail. You know, we have some people from the government on here, but in my view, when you apply for any type of grant, one of the first things they're asking you is who are you partnering with, or who are you talking to, or who are you collaborating with. So there's no question in my mind that we have to form these partnerships. How we do that and how we keep them going, I think is another big question. I'm going back a bit in time about when in this town we had a little information booth. We got grants to open it in the summer, and we worked with Algonquin Park. And the park would bring down all of their information. We would have all of the township information, all of the things that was going on in the township, and any events that were taking place around the township. That didn't cost a lot of money, but I'm going to tell you, it was the personal, person-to-person contact, and it worked well. So I just want to reiterate what everyone is saying. I think now the buzzwords are collaboration and partnerships, and what are we doing to do all of these? So I just want to add my 2 cents to that.
I think that's a good point, Mayor. And just to follow up on my sort of the partnership and collaboration, I will offer the caveat that we run this partnership, we have for 10 years now, this partnership allocation and program. And we're cognitive of the fact that we don't want to ensue a false sense of support, right? So we will go 50-50 the first year, but the caveat is we know there's a lot of risk in the beginning of destination development on everybody's part. So we would offset the cost. If an organization or entity comes back to us the following year with the same act, because we know sometimes events and tourism product take a few years to build out. The partnership won't be 50-50. We'll start weaning them off year after year. So the next year might be 40-60, and that's what's happening now, and 30-70. So hopefully down the road in a certain point of time, the entity or the individual or the sub-region within your area will become dependent. So we're there to offset the risk and the cost of it, sort of, and giving our expertise in guiding product development or the festival. But we want to say, you know, there's other areas that may require our help over time. So we're here to mitigate the risk and get you sort of going with it. And maybe it's 1 year, it's events product development. And maybe in 3 years down the road, you need sort of a new website or a plan or a strategy. So we don't want entities to become dependent, much like sort of maybe other government areas too, to become dependent on funding and the soft sense of, you know. So we sort of try and wean them off year after year, so that the money can be spent in other places.
Okay, folks, I'm going to give you we're very short. We have a minute. So I just wanted to come back to you. You had wanted to say something a few people ago.
Mine was around partnership. I think all of us around the table can say partnership is very important, and to get to the table and start talking is great. To the development and the actions require funding, and that's where I think all of us go, well, you know, if we don't have any specific funds set aside for program development, etc., or, you know, funding grants, etc., then we're all going, well, okay, who's going to do what? So you not only have no funds, but you don't have dedicated people as well to push your programs together and through.
Yeah, Angela's on the call. She can tell you how much work's involved in some of these, and even
Oh, absolutely.
Fednor's here as well too. By the time you get through a phase one and phase two, and then all the follow-up paperwork, and those within government know sort of the mountain of paperwork that's becoming more and more. So it's easier. I know we just talk about partnerships, but Angela's on here, and she can, and anybody else, you know, there is a lot of sort of behind the scenes work that needs to be done to ensure these go through. Sorry to interrupt, Angela.
Okay, I'm just gonna go and check on the other groups because we should be moving around topics here in a minute, but does so Saba, thank you, Angela, there. It kind of moves us into question 2 there is, and how you see your organization contributing. And I think that, James, you've already given us a perspective there. Angela, yeah, and Scott, jump in, and then maybe the town and yourself have perspectives. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Indigenous Tourism Ontario, we have 493, 51% or more owned businesses across Ontario. So what we can do for your region is we can team up with entrepreneurs. We can do business planning, financial planning, marketing planning. We have 5 business advisors like myself. I've got 32 years of experience in tourism in Nunavut, Vancouver Island, Ontario, actual management experience in the field. So we have business advisors that can work with any of your Indigenous entrepreneurs with startup planning, accounting, you name it. We can do websites. That's what we can do for you guys.
Amazing. Can I just ask, this is a naive question just from me, and would that be specifically Indigenous operators?
As a nonprofit funded by FedDev and FedNor, our mandate is to help Indigenous operators.
Got you. Just wanted to make sure I had it. That makes total sense. A lot of expertise there, and it seems James has expertise, also a suite of expertise, as does everybody here. Okay. Yes. Okay, I'm just gonna see if, from the town's perspective and park wonderful human here, if there's anything else to add in terms of your organization's position and all of this.
Well, I think for us in the park is, you know, Angela, some of the things that you're talking about very much are consistent with us as well too, is, you know, albeit we are a government agency, we are a tourist destination, and provide, you know, opportunities much like yourself. We need to be part of these discussions, and, you know, thanks for inviting the park here. But it's what I see though is this true definition of collaboration, because I see, like, it needs to be one team, right? And I just, to me, is what is the way for, and maybe this is a mediated session, is how do we bring all the people together? You know, we talked about a tourist pledge. Well, maybe we need a tourist operators pledge as well too, right? Because that's where I really see, you know, building on the mayor's comment around partnership. If we all need to be in this together, we all need to be following the same rules, all that sort of stuff, for this to be successful. But I know the park is definitely involved in these discussions and will continue to be.
Amazing. I love how we brought it back around. Anything else, Madam Mayor, or anybody from the town as just a last word here? Then we got to mix it up.
Well, I think we do have to work together. I think that you're seeing a sense of, you know, not only the town council, but business operators and government agencies trying to come together. I mean, this is the first stab we've had at making an economic development plan. And we do all need to be at the table, and I think we need to be at the table with a mutual respect for one another and each other and each organization. And I think we can do it. You know, when people come to Whitney, and I just want to add this, Angela, it's quite interesting. I've been going for therapy in Peterborough, and I had to change therapists. And I went to this therapist on last Thursday, and I said, no, I don't live in Peterborough. I live in Whitney. And he said, I know Whitney. And I kind of looked at him, because most times they just kind of look up in the air and we don't exist. And he said, oh, I've gone to the Algonquin accommodations. I thought, well, that was really interesting. I said, did you have a great time? Did you really enjoy it? Oh, yes, it was really a lot of fun. And he went on to talk about it. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't about coming to Algonquin Park. It was coming to Whitney. And Algonquin Park markets itself. And from my years in the park, John, which is a few years ago, people would, you know, Whitney was a fallback when the park was full. That's when people came to Whitney for accommodations or to try to camp or whatever. And so we've always been kind of trailing the park in my view. And then another time, when I would talk to people maybe in Toronto at some other meetings, again, going back a bit, I would say I'm from Whitney, Ontario. Oh, you're next to the park, but I've gone to Bear Trail. So my point being is that while people talk about Algonquin Park, there are things that they remember about Whitney. And I think that's great, because we're always trying to promote us as a township. And I think we have to continue to do that together. So I just wanted to add that piece.
Okay, and herein we'll call this one a wrap, and we're going to start to be moving on to people in just a moment. So if you're passionate about people, please stay. If not, you guys can fly the coop. Yep.
Yeah.
That was, thanks, Mary. I wrote this down, promote the township. And that, I know for us, that's where we have to be careful, right? Is we're here to support, we're here to help. But maybe from time to time, you may want to tell us to back off about it, because this isn't about Algonquin Park, this is about township. So that's a good point. Good point.
Okay,
Are we to move?
yes,
Move and go somewhere else? Or
yes,
where?
it's a complicated move schedule at this moment in time.
Find a room that has.
I'll just
has
follow
12
John,
bodies
he
in it
knows where
already
he's
and
going.
move.
We're gonna be talking about people in here next.
I just found a room that wasn't overflowing. There, that was a good start.
How's it going, Brian?
Good.
This is partnership, huh?
We're talking about.
Can you hear me,
people.
Scott?
Partnership. Partnership. Can I take your partnership one?
Yes, I need the people one.
So what we're gonna do here?
Pardon, we're gonna talk about people.
Oh, I already talk about people.
Okay.
People,
Okay, fine.
everyone's leaving.
I know, it's not something we said, but, okay, people.
Life is easy without people, isn't it?
Yeah, but boring and unfulfilling as well. Maybe, yes. Okay, folks, so Brian has joined us. I guess you can see that. And we're gonna move on to the people. I'm just gonna set my timer again here. Set it for about 20 minutes. So you'll recall, Sue's, how she's defined this particular category of inquiry. And I can just say it again here, which is to retain residents and also attract newcomers. Through community building, foster and celebrate a sense of pride, leverage tourism to introduce hello. We found another people, to our wonderful group, retain youth, and that came from the conversations the last time around, encourage people who left to come back, as employers or employees in a skilled workforce. So we have in the people topic here, a series of questions. Tell us about your current actions, activities, or events that build community pride. Maybe we can start there. So what's happening to build community pride? And you can think, big things, small things, that one-on-one piece that we were talking about, what's happening?
I would say the seniors group.
What's happening with the seniors group?
They gather people together. There's an opportunity to come together, whether it's weekly or whatever it might be, or special events like Remembrance Day.
Okay. How big is that group?
I'm not too sure. I don't know, Brian or Ethel, if you know how big that seniors group is? It's quite,
I think there's about 40, 50 people involved with them though. They're a very active group.
Absolutely, and they do open it up to other community members as well.
Yeah, we now have to slap the social, an activity director, who doing events not only for seniors, but for other people also. So I think that's a real plus for this township. Also, just very quickly, on a smaller note, but a lot of pride, was the lighting of the Christmas tree last night in the township. And it brings out a lot of people. It brings out our young. There was carol singing, there was coffee, chocolate, cookies, whatever. So it just might be considered a very small thing, but a lot of work behind the scenes and a lot of participation. So I think that's really positive for us.
I also think the fact there's such a significant Algonquin population, like Algonquin peoples, right? To have that really like ancestral tie to this place.
May I just ask, are there local like powwows?
Yep,
things
there's a
happening?
powwow that's in Algonquin Park.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, Okay, anything else kind of pop to mind for things that are currently happening?
Both of the recreation committees, one in Whitney and one in Madawaska. They organize a slew of activities throughout the year, including Canada Day, Halloween trick or treating, and various other things. Santa Claus parade. The two rec committees are instrumental in providing cost-effective opportunities for the residents.
And it's a little bit quieter now, but churches, you know, there would be a lot of town suppers, like turkey suppers and so on.
That we're open to?
Everybody, yeah.
Mm. And somebody online had jumped in, sorry, go ahead. Hmm.
Tourism events or festivals. I know this spring has the Black Bongo, does the Black Fly. That's, sometimes can be the catalyst for community engagement and whatnot. You build it off getting travelers off the highway or in, but certainly there can be a community aspect. I know many of our events throughout the region that do have, tourism component to it really create community pride and engagement, not only for the event too, but rallying the volunteers to make the event happen. I know there's quite a following with some events in some of the smaller rural areas that, it creates a sense of pride just having the volunteers collaborate and work together, making it happen.
And something to add to that as well, James, too, the Howell Photography Convention, I would say is one of the highest quality gatherings of people that I have ever been to in my life, easily. And that's, Bongo Picks and Steve Dunsford from the Mad Musher spearhead that with support from Explorer's Edge. Can't say enough good things about that.
Yeah, on that note too, it's even we've even funded like a photographer to go in and around sort of Whitney in the area just for sort of a larger database of photography and sometimes rather than bring somebody from the outside in, Steve Dunsford we've hired on occasion to go out and do photography in the area. At first blush, it may not see sort of a community pride piece, but having a community have some of those stellar landmarks captured in a professional way can be used not only by residents, businesses, the township, and whatnot. So that sort of engagement piece is sort of can be folded into the sort of the ecosystem of sort of what we're getting at sort of community pride through a tourism lens.
So here's the fun part next, which is, so what are you dreaming? What are you imagining in terms of initial or additional ideas to, and it can certainly two purposes, really to build this community pride and then also to attract people. What ideas do you have?
I'd like to see the idea of, we used to have in this township what we call the Red Cross picnic, which it didn't matter what church denomination you were from or what rec committee you were from or whatever. Everyone came together, gathered where the Lester Smith building is now, and just had a wonderful, wonderful day. It wasn't about politics. It was just about having a fun day. No, we can't ever call it a Red Cross picnic again, maybe because that word and all that's gone away. But I think that sense of an openness and bringing our community together and working on our strengths instead of, let's be very frank, instead of being angry at one another or jealous of one another or saying, well, I can do better, or that's organizations going down the dumpster. So be that would be a definite asset to this community, and would be something I think that would become most welcome.
And we used to have a lot of community dances too, but they seem to have sort of trickled off a bit more. I think community dances and community suppers.
And do you think there's a space for that now again? Like, should I add it to the list?
I think it's worthwhile noting, definitely, because there was more of a sense of community back then when everyone would come together and you sort of, Ethel, as you said, put your differences aside and celebrate the community and be together. Now we do it kind of weddings and funerals only.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've got in the works a little bit more now, in partnership with the library, and I've spoken with Ethel a bit about this, is there have been publications in the past around the history of Whitney. That's something that ended kind of in 1970s and something that, I've got in my mind to put together with other folks who have been collecting that history of Whitney. So there's a publication that's out there that tells our stories. It goes into celebrating the history of that area.
This is sort of this is gonna, like, I preemptively put this out there that this is gonna cost money. Like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna offer a few suggestions, but you can't come out of this meeting not to go back and sort of look at budget. There's partners like ourselves out there to help with this, but hopefully there's an appetite to take a look and see the importance of it. So my couple things are implementing community art projects, whether it's to showcase the land. The group of 7 has their murals in Huntsville, but if we're talking back to a previous conversation of international US travelers, it's not just art projects for the sake of art projects, but what is the objective behind it? So I would put this, Christina Lucas-Savage, you're here, like Indigenous art projects. Like, I drive into Perry Sound and I see a logger there. I'm like, what a missed opportunity on the side of the building. You have Wasauksons and Shawanigan First Nations there. Like, we're on Turtle Island. Let's get to the root of it. And the travelers that you want, because we were just talking about sort of the environmental footprint, international and US stay longer, spend more. So I think that's a huge draw right now too, and sort of the communication that goes on with. But having community with art installations or projects is great. Enhancing public spaces, again, fits the bill for tourism and community pride. If we're setting aside a budget aside and we just had a wish list, like outdoor water parks, like water paths or things like that, Angela went through this with accessible washrooms and got grants for that. This sounds maybe out there, but signage saying you're going from Ottawa to Algonquin Park, but you have some great washrooms off, with an art project there and that little playground for kids. Now you're tapping into some weary travelers that have family and so on and so forth. So I put that, and on that note, sort of going down that road, promoting inclusivity and diversity too. So we see how it's all starting to come together here with regards to sort of what your end goal is, mixing in sort of that international US traveler with creating community pride, enhancing public spaces, getting into public art installations, you know, maybe signage. And it, you know, the first step of putting all this in place, you know, is going to cost money, but the dividends down the road will be well worth it. And it will not only start to invite travelers to stop in Whitney, but also be a carrot to say, okay, if you want to relocate your business here or invest in here or take a risk here, you can see that sort of the town and the individuals, whether it's FedNor, ITO, like if it's an Indigenous art installation, where does ITO play a role in that as well too, with regards to funding? RTO, FedNor, everybody else. So we start to see a mosaic here of starting to pull all these pieces together with a common goal, and it can be done. Angela's on the call; she got funding for accessible washrooms, so it's all out there. You know, I guess we haven't got to the question of who's doing the sort of the legwork for this. You know, if there's a will, there's a way.
So we do actually have ongoing, right now, there is an initiative around the Art Gallery of the Ottawa Valley, which includes Whitney, of course. And James, I know there's that weird boundary, right? We've got the tourism boundary, we've got geographical boundaries, all that.
We're here to help. We're here to help. I try not to let that get in the way.
You've got an email in your in your inbox, but there's that, and then also leveraging that heritage art too. So we've got 2 projects ongoing, but funding is always that big obstacle.
And James, just to speak to your, you know, need for budget. One of the things I've done is this year we've deferred council's budget deliberation as part of completing our economic development master planning, tourism and economic development master planning, because as part of that, we're going to have implementation plans, and we're hoping that from those implementation plans, we'll actually be able to take some meaningful actions moving forward as part of budget deliberations for 2025. So that's why there's a bit of a sense of urgency to get this completed so that we can move forward with budget deliberations, understanding fully that council's budgets are always really, really tight to begin with. But as you say, we might be able to bring some partners together to the table to minimize the impact to the local taxpayer, so to speak.
Oh, that's great to hear, Counselor. And I'm not here for just lip service. I think you know, some of those planning short term, you can rely on sort of Explorer's Edge to move this. We're a bit more nimble, but also FedNor's on here too. I know there's a bit of a process with Phase, and actually everything's online now with FedNor. But there, you know, sort of longer term higher goals can sort of bring in FedNor. But that's great to hear that this is sort of top of mind. And you don't want to rush it through too much that you don't get the businesses involved. But to your point, you do want to put some emphasis on it so we can get through it and build some things into your budget. But yeah, Counselor, I can work with your clerk or your CAO and sort of reviewing it. Oh, your CAO. Sorry, it just says Council Chambers on your name. Sorry, CAO. But we can connect after. I believe we had one partnership that was percolating a couple of years ago, but it just sort of the world. But I'm happy to circle back to that and see where we can help.
Certainly.
And Scott, go ahead. Yep.
I don't feel particularly able to answer this question because I'm not from your region. I haven't spent a lot of time there, but I can talk about places where I grew up. I grew up in a logging community on the West Coast, and back in 1974, my neighbor came up with the idea of doing an eagle count, and everybody thought he was strange. In fact, he was quite ostracized by a lot of people in the community. His name was Tor Froslev, and he lived in Brackendale, and he formed the Brackendale Art Gallery, and he created the Squamish Eagle Count. And now it's become this huge event that brings a lot of visitors to the area. So sometimes I would say, look beyond the box, look at other communities. I've only been on 6 years, so I don't know the origin story for a lot of Ontario communities, but I can talk about BC, Tofino, I can talk about Banff, Squamish. Oftentimes they take something, for example, like storm watching or eagle counting, things that seem very bizarre to look at the time, but they create entire industries around those things. And those are the type of industries and things that will attract the kind of people that you might want in your community. So a lot of the innovators seem quirky at first. You have incredible resources there. I said it before, Whitney reminds me of in 1975 or Squamish in 1975. Very similar in a lot of ways.
Amazing. And I understand there is a Christmas bird count in Algonquin in the park. But yeah, maybe there's that opportunity to think about something like whether it's storm watching or what aurora watching, stargazing. The dark sky business is huge right now. Anyway, and so can we just then nice, I love that. And you really took us into question 3, kind of tackling a bunch of them together here, and that is, would you say anything different or add anything if you consider local? So what's needed to help people stay in Algonquin or in South Algonquin? And I guess we started out in that place, community dances, the suppers, the Remembrance Day flags. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
Housing.
Yeah.
Housing, 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 housing,
Whether that's supportive housing, assisted living,
everything. Seniors live,
the
right? Like,
ability to live, age in place is
Yeah.
huge. And we don't have those we don't have enough of those support systems in place in the area.
And when we think about youth too, it's that, entry into the house, there's aging in place, but there's that entry into the market in the first place. That's a nightmare.
Well, and I mean, the challenges are a lot of we have a huge out migration of our youth.
Yeah.
Who go away for college and university and find good careers wherever they go off to, and they aren't able to return due to lack of internet access or due to geographic location of the work. So there's still some real challenges with returning our youth to our community.
I think housing and things, and then employment opportunities,
Mhm.
kind of hand in hand.
Yeah, you can't have employment opportunities if you have no housing. Ask Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. It's
Just to
Ethel.
add I was just going to put down sort of the mental health and wellness side of things as well too, and I think Indigenous can play a role in that, sort of the mindfulness and healthy living and support overall. Um, Housing and transportation, all of the above. I think we're starting from a clean slate, and sometimes it's not necessarily about sort of, especially with entrepreneurship, it may not necessarily be about grants. Maybe if you start a new business, you get tax credits or tax breaks at the end of the year. So there's innovative ways to go about this, and Angela's touched on some of that with the housing, and certainly Christina's touched on that as well too with the education and housing. So anyway, I just thought I'd put in the mental health and wellness. Certainly that's top of mind for every, not just Gen Zs or millennials. I'm not sure what I am. I'm born in 76. I don't know, just old. Am I the old generation? I don't know. Anyway, I just put that out there. That's top of mind
Housing is
nowadays.
number one issue in the township. It has been, since before I became the mayor of this township. Housing is the number one issue here. It is and will continue to be. I hate to say this to you, but until the government's coming together and say, we want to work with people in housing in these small communities. The money in housing, in my view, is going to the big Toronto places. We're not getting the money funneled down to these townships and these communities. So to me, that's the number one and will remain the number one issue. I also believe that, when you talk about housing, James, you touched about it, the mental addiction, we're talking about homelessness. It's everyone wants these hubs now to deal with all of these issues. And frankly, I think there's so many issues now that we're trying to put into one box. I'm not sure that we're going to succeed doing all of it. If we need housing, we need affordable housing. We need co-op housing. We need services to those housing. We need, in my view, what this township wants is not only apartments, but a place where they can go see their doctor, they can get their prescriptions, where they have one place where they can go and get all this. That's their dream. Now, will we be able to utilize and do that dream? I don't know, but I'm a believer that we can push forward on these issues, but only if we're working together. Again, I just reiterate, we have to.
I believe housing is Peterborough. The Mountain Peterborough's done a good job of raising money through community bonds and social enterprise, And part of their co-op thing is they have the Victorian Order of Nurses, and sort of not, they build a building, but part of it is put out to other entities that support it. And we're working on a project right now. We're in the workforce development side of it, sort of the training side of it, because nowadays it's not just about here's a job and here's a place to live. What's the quality of life, and how are you going to be further along? So our model that we're considering and looking at different ways to pilot it is you come to work in our region in a tourism job for 2 years. We'll offset your rent or your accommodation expenses. In order for you to, so that's the hook, and we'll put you up in a new building facility. And while you're here, we do training programs, because I believe some of the post-secondary institutes have become commodified and are not really doing the outcomes for the students that they should, they've said they would do. So affordable housing, yes, housing with individuals that contribute to the local economy is almost a different conversation. And I that's why I'm on this call, is sort of to figure out how this can be done. But the Mount in Peterborough has done this, and a very regenerative approach to it, people moving through. And what's not to say at the end of a 2-year sort of training, living in housing, can sort of the township or the funders back a mortgage for that person to ensure they stay. And then you build another one and start the process over again. But it's nobody's going into or starting a job if they have to worry about how they're going to put food on the table or pay their mortgage, right? So how does this system how do we break down the silos and not, from my mindset is, even I know we're funded by the province of Ontario, but the longer we wait for the government to help us, we'll be waiting a long time. So I don't know. We visited the Mount in Peterborough and taken some best practices from them that may be applicable to Whitney, but everything sort of has to come together, chicken and egg sort of thing. What all comes together at once to make this all succeed? This is a good starting point, though, these conversations.
Okay, we need to rotate, and
we gotta rotate. This is a pretty good group. We're gonna rotate.
Angela, I hear you. I'm just gonna say that, and hopefully you guys can take like a 2-minute stretch break, and then we'll be on to place, which a lot of this does morph into. But Angela, last word, and then we go. Thank you. My writing here is getting very tiny, lots of great ideas. So maybe take it, Madam Mayor, you came on. You're gonna take a 2-minute?
2 minutes. I just wondered if James and I could continue this discussion at another table, another time.
James went away on a break.
Yeah.
We can ask him though when everybody comes back. So just a couple minutes to stretch.
Oh, I'm still here. I'm just going to stretch it out, but yeah, love to. This is all about making connections, so love to connect. I'm usually in Whitney probably every 2 to 3 months, so I'll have to put you on my bucket list. Oh,
where are you located?
I'm in Bracebridge, so if you're ever in this neck of the woods, lunch is on me, Mayor.
Okay, thanks. I'll make it there.
Or even Huntsville. If you're in Huntsville or up in Dwight, anywhere. If you're Mayor, if you're on the road, you let me know.
I'm on the road sometimes.
Okay, me too. Let's I'll get your contact information from Sue, and we'll stay in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You two can direct chat each other as well, I think, with your info. Okay, so 2 minutes, we'll gather some people to come and talk about place. Sure.
I'm just gonna take that over to my.
Sounds good. When you come back, will you bring it back, please?
I will. And what time would you like me to have my group back here?
on our third round, so we're about, 30 minutes behind, but that's okay. So maybe we'll take about 20 minutes in this last one. Hello.
Hello.
So we're here to talk about place.
I need place.
Awesome. Okay, so
I'll bring this back.
Okay, so by 25 after?
25 after.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. That's right. Okay, so they're gonna talk about people over there. That, I'll give them the people sign.
You've got it right on time now.
Almost. Yeah, we're getting there.
Can I take your people?
Yeah, can you bring it back? Come back, please.
Yeah, no.
Can you my people? How's it going? You okay?
Yeah, you?
Good. Yeah, we're good. We're great in here. So many ideas. Just bring back the people. What are we talking about again? Place. Place. We're gonna talk about place in here.
I need people, that's the only person I have to replace.
Are you people? People's in there. Partnership is the kitchen. Who's gonna come talk about place with me?
Oh, I have a place here.
You're in the perfect,
Place.
perfect place.
You again. You again.
Okay, team place. Do you want this one? I can move.
You're working there, that's fine, I'll sit up here.
Okay, sounds good. So welcome back, everybody. The online team here is, nope,
Oh, everybody, look, with grief, I'm on the wrong end of the world.
we have quite a team in here. And hopefully for the online folks, it's going okay. Is there anything we could change up for this one? For the online people, is everybody okay?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so we have here for place. Firstly, we have a list of municipal recreation assets. And I guess the question is, which should be included as part of the local tourism experience? And then we will talk about consideration for a main street. And then things, just activities that could be done to create a sense of space. So how are we gonna do this first one here? I have a list. And so maybe you can tell me yes, no, whether they should be focused for local people or for broader tourism, or and we can go through those fairly quickly, maybe. I gotta watch the time here. Okay, Gallery Lake Beach.
It's a resource, it's an asset, but that's all.
Yes. Any thoughts on Gallery Lake Beach? Should it be promoted to visitors, or is it mostly a local hangout, or?
Oh, it's already promoted to visitors.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Because my grandson went for swimming lessons this summer,
Yeah.
or last summer, and there was a lot of visitors there that
It's very
That
busy
works.
in the summer.
were renting Airbnbs and.
busy. Oh, I can't spell anymore. In summer. Okay, so maybe we'll just, yeah, and if there's any special notes you want me to make on these as we say them, then I can make them here. How about Hay Lake Boat Launch?
What's the purpose for that?
So our purpose is to identify whether these should be, and maybe they are already, promoted locally to tourists, or both? And whether you have any special notes on any of them.
I think everything that's on that list should be included in promotion for tourists.
Yes.
I don't think that it has to be promoted for the locals. The locals already know it exists and use it. And some of those, except I wouldn't be promoting the Allen Lake boat launch to tourists very much because there's no room for parking. And the same problem exists at the Galeri boat launch. There's no room for parking. But it's noted as a access point for Algonquin Park. So Algonquin Park is promoting it and charging a fee for people that park there, which the township municipality doesn't get any of. And the locals, for the most part, know that they can't access that boat launch on the weekends.
And Hay Lake has a cottagers private boat launch. Or a dock.
But there's two. There's a public boat launch and.
That's right.
Where is it? Is it on here? Yes, right
The
here.
public one is on.
Well,
That's
is
the
it
public
possible
one.
then to make parking available?
For the most part, no.
And you
There's
would
no-
need a key to the
the-
private one.
The one here in town, there's no room, and we are promoting the parking along Big Creek Road here. But it's a fair ways away.
Yeah,
Cause a lot of the cottages are just boat access there.
Hmm.
so the answer is,
Yes. So I was going by them one by one, which was proving to be a bit painful, I guess. And so the counselor made a kind of overall statement, so I can say them all and you just stop me if there's a point of note for those ones. So we did Galeri Lake Beach, Hay Lake Boat Launch, J.R. Booth Memorial Park, Tom and Mick Murray Park Beach and Boat Launch at Bark Lake, Madawaska River Boat Launch. Can somebody kick me if I say things wrong, by the way?
No, you're correct.
Okay. Allen Boat Launch, Galeri Lake Memorial Park and Trail, Galeri Lake Boat Launch, Snowmobile ATV Carpool Parking, Madawaska, and also Whitney, Madawaska Complex and Library, Madawaska, Mervyn Dupuis Outdoor Ice Rink, Whitney Library, Lester B. Smith Community Center, Whitney Outdoor Ice Rink and Pickleball Courts, Lyle Lake Boat Launch, Mackenzie Lake Boat Launch, Macaulay Lake Boat Launch. That is the list. And the counselor was saying everything should be promoted, like for tourism, except there are places that have parking constraints. And then you ask about mitigation of parking
yeah,
constraints.
what can be done?
Mhm.
The Allen Lake, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is. Mhm. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's
You-
fine.
Sure.
Well, it still comes back, as she was saying, parking and access to all of those. And how do we get parking? It's a problem, it's a situation, okay? What is the answer?
The Gallery Lake boat launch is a little bit unique because we're dealing with if you count the municipality, 3 different government agencies, because the launch itself is owned by Fisheries and Oceans, which is federal.
Mhm.
And the parking lot, I think, is Ministry of Natural Resources. The township actually only owns a little shoreline allowance there
Yeah,
near the dock. And it's surrounded by private property. That's the other problem.
yeah,
The Allen Lake one is a land use permit, and we've expanded it and tried to make better use of it, but there's only a finite amount of room. And we have I think it's 108 water access only properties that rely on that parking lot to get to their cottage. And if they're all up at the same time,
well,
parking lot's full. It's overflowing on long weekends.
So they're boat-in cottages.
Yes,
Okay.
100.
yeah.
What an opportunity for Whitney with parks and parking lots. You see this in Sabo Beach and many tourist areas. You see the sign, you put in the code, you download the app, you make money. And this goes towards, and I forget where there was a township that, local residents didn't pay it, but travelers through the area did pay it. I think there was something with your license plate that they could track if you were from the area. There is an enforcement aspect of this, but we often put up content around, Algonquin Park's very busy. Here's the other places to see the fall colors and trails. I think with the day trippers and with the economy the way it is, you're going to see more people coming up with cars and wanting to go see these places. So there's a communication piece to this. But I don't work for a township. I work for a regional tourism organization. So I don't know the particulars of putting them in, but they are very prominent in many areas where there are parking lots and municipal provincial assets there that you got to pull out your phone, you got to put in the code. There's a sign that says this area is video surveillance, and you start to generate some revenue for this to go back into the community. And it's a tracking mechanism too, to see which parks are doing better than others and which maybe need a parking lot expansion, so on and so, or maybe which if one trail or one spot's more popular than the others, what's working for it there that you can duplicate in other areas. So there is a breadth of product you have there, and maybe an opportunity to generate some revenue from it. I'm sure there is an initial upfront cost, but once it's in place, it's sort of a well-oiled machine.
James, the problem in our township is that all of those launches and parking areas, except for the parking area alongside of Hay Creek Road in Whitney, are land use permits. And in the agreement for land use permits, it's illegal to charge a fee for anything. So the township would have to gain ownership of all of those launches, parking lots more than the launches, in order to be able to charge a fee. And right now, with the land claim in this area, there's a restriction on crown land sales, and it's just a no-go.
No, that's, yeah, I guess you're the expert in the field. I'm just, yeah, putting it out there as part of the group, and maybe there's one parking lot that it could work for that's not land use, but it sounds like you're saying all of them are restricted.
That's correct. They're all owned by the town, and the municipality accesses them through a land use permit.
Have you ever been to Lake Claire, Joe?
I have.
On Lake
never
Claire
tried-
in the fall? Beautiful colors there, all surrounding the lake, but they have a parking lot, but it's at a lodge and you have to drop your $10 in. It's private property, right?
Oh, yes, I've been there, but I was there for a meeting one time.
Yeah, but I don't know how they enforce that if we didn't put that $10 in there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, beautiful colors there too.
okay. So thank you for entertaining that piece of the discussion. Our second question is, what do you consider as South Algonquin's Main Street and why? Is that one feels like it's a bit dicey and nobody wants to say?
Doesn't have one.
Doesn't have,
It's Highway 60.
okay. Why?
That's the main
That's the only
street that
thing
goes through.
it. I define a main street as something you can walk down and go to the shops,
Mhm.
not the highway going through it. That's just saying goodbye. So Main Street is something that is tourism, is sales, is shops, is souvenirs, is all that good thing. In my opinion, they don't have a Main Street.
And those shops aren't far off of Highway 60, but
Highway
That's-
60 is the only highway in our township that goes through all 5 wards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go through very much of Sabine Ward, only about a kilometer or so. It still goes through all 5 wards.
some people slow down, some people don't. Barry's Bay has the big banner across the highway. Announcing different events.
Okay. So then if we just keep on with what Angela introduced, things that could be done to create that sense of space and, or sense of place. And you had said visual identifiers along the main street, then you added these banners that, you know, for welcoming and event announcement. Is there anything else that comes to your minds? Maybe think about places that you've been or.
Well, I think Lori's involved with the flower pots on the bridge here. I think that's been an enhancement to
That's
the
great.
community.
Yeah.
In Whitney, the bridge is kind of center point of the township, so everybody in the community is kind of drawn to the bridge. Same, not quite the same in Madawaska because the bridge is off to one side. And in fact, that bridge is scheduled for replacement in the next few years, so you
Okay,
wouldn't want to be doing anything there now.
I think I jumped off that bridge at one point. There's water underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I wasn't supposed to probably, but sorry. Okay, what else? comes to mind? Mhm. Hmm. So all of these things are pieces of what you're speaking of. You're talking about then that overall kind of vision or, you know, unifying infrastructure as well. Does anybody want to kind of jump onto that? We have just a couple minutes for this one.
Something that the general public isn't really aware of yet. It's gonna affect tourism, not locals, is that there's an EV charging station going to be constructed in Madawaska. It may affect the hours that the library is open, because people obviously have to have something to do while their vehicle is charging. It also may affect connection to J.R. Booth Park. And we're in the middle of building a new hiking trail right now, in the area of the community complex. And that's where the charging station is scheduled to be built. So we may be down the road. I know this EV charging, I think the first few years, it's gonna be like a lost leader, but eventually, you know, it's gonna be more popular. We're gonna have to have, we don't have to have, but we should have something for the people to do while their vehicle is being charged. There is at both of the libraries, pretty well the whole complex at Madawaska is free Wi-Fi, because we now have repeaters or mesh, whatever system you want to call it, that goes over to the rink building.
Yeah,
The
community
downside of
center.
that is
Community center in Whitney.
the community center in Whitney as well, yes. The downside of that is that we have people that hang out there sometimes for days and days because there's a Wi-Fi connection.
Okay, everyone, any final thoughts on this before we wrap up the place discussion? This one feels like it was the toughest to me.
Well, I guess if you're thinking long-term, it's something like Angela was saying is, yeah, you need a main street, you need a center, you need but that's large expense and long-term project to identify where, how you would finance it and do it, and that's almost dreamland.
And what it looks. Okay. It's a good place to maybe leave that one. It's a big kind of picture vision piece. So if everybody wants to just take 2 minutes, everybody's gonna join us back in here. I'm just gonna post these around the room and see if I can snap some pictures and get them over to people who are online. We'll see if we can do that all in a couple minutes, okay? Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, place. Gonna move back here. This one's back here. Got the home. Remove this stuff. Wait. And where did I put the green? Not as well.
Active group conversation. When after what it's all is. Very old there. Ingenious. 15 years. It's now, Jim and Mansky with them dance. No, he's not, but he's the administrator for the family health trust. Oh.
It's going better.
Probably. How's it going here?
Almost done. What? Didn't you bring sandwiches today? That's because it really tough. I did a single job, but, something like that. No.
No, it's got nothing to do with hers.
No, but, yes. Our conversation. That would be good. They do sometimes you have to do it with the band, and you have to go, it's just a line. It's just more. It's just how bad.
Partnership.
Online seems to be the way of the world now.
Yeah, exactly.
Goop it up. I have some of my knuckles appointments along.
Exactly. So I think, you know what I mean, it's not even just watch the monitor and have the doctor there and we help out, especially when I something you have here, my here.
During COVID, for 2 years, I didn't have
So
it.
the hard work is done, everyone.
Actually, it's from the time Sobolski retired.
So who would arrange something like Jane Mansky?
Let's put this
He's
guy
talked
up.
to him. I don't know if he could do it or not. That would be the guy to talk to.
They would have had.
I think we got on and off there. I think we're over on that side.
No, but what I'm thinking that wasn't necessarily mentioned in any of, at least any of the conversations that I was part of, are our artists or our arts organization.
Hello.
It's gonna get a.
Every group that I was in had exactly the same questions.
Really?
Every single group. It was the same, repeated 3 times in 3 different groups.
Well, did you go to the,
I was in them all. Same questions, all 3.
did you go to place every time?
Well, I rotated 3 different rooms.
There was a whole go to place, people and partnerships. So
Looks like I did all rooms, same topic. Which
that's okay. That means you
he's an
have,
expert.
You're an expert.
you're a loved one.
I never charged a consultant fee.
There you go.
That's so sad.
Okay, so, now you may be wondering what the heck did everybody do in the other rooms that they were in? And or you also may think, there's something that I didn't get to say yet. Or when you read what the other groups did, you may have something to add. So the dots are if you want to upvote something. So for example, here when we talked about, current Pride building activities, lighting of the Christmas tree, just an example. So maybe you think, okay, that is an awesome one. I'm just gonna put a dot there because I'm totally behind that. And I'll just start again. Hey there, look at, this is the rebel Brian's office.
Yeah, who's there? What's the hell?
Who knows what they were doing over there? There you go.
With the rebels.
Okay. Welcome back. So, again, just in summary, you may be wondering what the other groups were talking about. Now's the chance just to get up and have a look. If there's something you want to add, there's still markers on the table. Please feel free to grab one and you can
maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree, maybe you have something to add, just make a note. If there's something you wanted to quote unquote upvote, so I love the lighting of the Christmas tree, for example, I'm gonna just put a dot there. So, you're reinforcing that. You can also see where there's trends. So here we have, again, when we're thinking about current 5 building activities, this group also said the tree lighting, so hey, we can see some trending there. So feel free to. And the other, all 3 groups said tree lighting. Okay,
So it's just yesterday.
there you go, top of mind. So please feel free to get up, have a look. Mark the things, I heard somebody say I didn't get to say something or something's come to mind. Feel free to add it on there. And just, yeah, take a couple of minutes and have a look around. For people who are online, you probably can't see a lot of this. We can use the chat box if there's anything that you want to reinforce about your discussions. I was just gonna get them markers. Everybody's tired out, nobody's standing up. Okay, awesome.
Your last review, you did, but with your ideas of the last office and who we wanted to invest.
Yes. Probably was last year's one, but yeah.
Yeah.
If there's
Reduce the back.
Like they want
to, they're sitting down there. Won't name it.
No. How we can do inclusion.
I think they're all great ideas. Do you not have more stickers?
Sure.
We don't have much stickers. But what do
We have so many.
You don't need to.
There you go. So for folks that are online, is there anything that you wanted me to underscore from the conversations that we've had in any of the topics? People, place, partnerships?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Well, what I'm proposing is that we take a picture of all of them and send them to the folks that were online, so you can also do this piece. In this moment, I think that it's not gonna happen in a timely way.
Require an for which would require human resources. Yeah. Which would require a different budget and still. Volunteer. It always looks at who. I haven't. Hold on.
So let me do that. I'm gonna take pictures, everyone.
Maybe everyone, once you see a little way. I think there's a time.
It's a banner, not a lost, but old ones you don't have.
We don't focus our decision on other problems being planned then. We will have implementation.
Which hopefully will be somewhat accurate. You know, it's so much. There's a lot of information.
Did you ever hear of, have a Fortune Township as a partnership with my company?
Never have. Take a picture, do you, so should they know who put the stickers on?
Nope, I'm not. So it's over.
Okay.
We signed.
Oh, okay.
Lots of good ideas there.
You just need a place.
Uh-huh.
You know, very long time.
Thank you.
People were combining from each other. Need more dots.
Oh, indeed,
Need
indeed.
to have more dots on it. I like how.
Black market.
Straight on.
Yeah.
We're on the corner,
People are funny, right? Can also tell which facilitator maybe needs to practice writing a little bit more, like me. Like, so
My brain is voting.
because your brain and your nose are once working fantastic. Oh, maybe I'm good. Are you? You're very generous.
Sorry, I was just looking for people who are online and I'll have to listen to message all themselves.
Well, the quality, yeah, there's like 4 chats or 5 chats in here.
They have to say, it's too loud.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. Well.
Are you good for having with your voice?
Sometimes things get added.
Yeah. So the trick or treating off is really.
Hey, just a couple minutes, just a couple minutes, and then we'll come back and.
There we are.
So then it's continuously.
I got pictures for everybody online. I think.
Yeah, I think.
What is it?
I'm not sure if that's. We just might have a little bit of basic.
And you'll be using it, getting it more
We download the
Gas.
You mean the president's.
Okay, if everybody can join us back, join us back with the chair, look at how time is flying.
I had my whole day planned until you told me last night that we had a meeting. So now I have to.
I told him I went.
Yeah, last night she said, oh, I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, for what? I'm done. I don't want to see you anymore.
You obviously didn't pay any attention.
Yeah. I didn't. No, I just didn't put it, I just didn't put it on my calendar, I guess, or if I did, I didn't notice it.
On my calendar, I had that problem. On my calendar.
Well, it's probably, oh, like.
You made it back into the room, so you.
Because then it pops up.
My mind is too full, I guess.
Tracy, you know how to print that? Oh, yeah.
Oh, no,
The chat.
it's a chalk mark.
I don't know, there's a lot of history there.
Don't delete it.
Don't delete it.
Yeah.
No, I was just looking to see if there was
Tracy, can I buy some stickers?
Want some more?
It's okay.
Apparently there's a black market.
Sean, I got 2 more lots of them.
I didn't get all the way around.
I'm sorry, but there seems to be lacking again.
Okay,
I
so
put all of mine on the same thing to make sure it comes to the top.
for the people online, we have taken pictures and we'll get the pictures of the, flip chart information to you, just again, that inclusion piece, it's not an exact replica of the experience in the room, but really want you to be a part of that as well. If we can figure out how to zap you some cookies and bananas, we'll give that a try. The technology's coming, I hear. So now we're on to the next step, please. Gratitude, next steps.
We're gonna do the group observation.
Yeah, yes. But briefly. We're gonna do it briefly.
Okay.
And that was really, some of our agenda is a bit fluid. We were not aware we would have so many folks online, but really it's great. It's really great. So maybe we can just do general reflection on, if we start with partnerships, is there anything people wanted to contribute there, just in terms of our reflection piece? I would say we started with partnerships here in the council chambers, and there were some wonderful ideas that came up, like a tourist pledge, and that was with respect to, you know, the garbage and how, and a mechanism to educate people on, you know, the greatness of the place and space and how we expect them to experience their time here. And then somebody built on that to say, well, what about a pledge for the operators?
Yeah.
An operators pledge. So that's both the service provider side covered and the people who are receiving that service. So that's just one example of the great kind of ideas we had in that partnership piece, and really seemed to be a great appetite there. So maybe we'll look at then the people.
Yep.
People. On to the people. Other facilitators or well, here's where we talked about the pride building activities, and we certainly see some themes. Maybe the tree lighting was just yesterday, that's why it's top of mind, but there are lots of other things that people pointed out of, you know, activities that are currently happening. And then we had certainly many ideas on additional actions that could be taken. Some of the ones that stand out for me were this idea of, you know, the eagle count, the Christmas bird count, which happens in Algonquin, the dark sky, like there's a lot of activities, potential activities here for local people and tourists.
Can I have sort of, and I'm just kind of looking at is in our group, we got sidetracked a little bit, but we did talk about the rec committees and lots of things happening by the rec committees, and again, I think there was a couple of comments about, if we'd known about the tree lighting, we probably would have planned to be there because we were here, right? And definitely saw it afterward. You saw what transpired, which was great. With all everything in front of the community center, right? That we saw when we did our drive around after we ate dinner. But yeah, the rec committees doing lots of stuff already, but then having that somewhere, that information, whether establishing more or less dates when things would happen, coming up with a calendar where locals would know, but also visitors, when they happen to be here, would know as well, right? But gets to that whole thing of needing someone that would take that on from that thing and get that information from those different committees, because they're doing great stuff already. Lots of great stuff happening.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything with respect to people? Anything that kind of jumps out, or? If not, we will go right back over here to our third one, which is place. Yep. And in the group that I was with, place, maybe it's because some people have been to the conversation, it was their third time. Or because of the subject matter. This one we found to be
like the most challenging one. You can even see by the evidence of how many ideas are there. But certainly still some great ideas. And when we talked about that, you know, the main street, just some identifiers, visual identifiers, something to add cohesion and interest to. Did everybody identify Highway 60 as the main? Yeah. Yes. So ways to really enhance, there are things going on already like the flower pot initiative, but really ways to identify that place for people who are passing through and hopefully stopping to visit. Any facilitators, anything else that pops to your mind? A very high level summary, Suzanne.
Figured that this would be simple, you know, and found out that it was actually very complicated. And it was around the discussion, around that added piece about, some of the municipal assets with the land leases, and crown land components, but also, with the park. And some arrangements about them being, access points into the park. And that's, yeah, so that was a revelation to us, to me anyways, right, hearing that. And it sounds like being some of the comments that it came up in, when it was talked about in other groups.
Yeah.
So Algonquin's not as simple as
municipality. Yeah, yeah. There's always complexities, but you certainly have added a few new things.
I think I'm gonna add, so there's this perception, I think, that this community is simple, that we're simple people who live here, and so we actually have to combat that. Like, you'll see it come up in books and so on, that people have written that, oh, it's just Whitney, but no, there's so much here. So I think that perception of the simplicity, we need to get rid of that, because that's really not the reality.
Yeah, yeah. That's, yeah, there's lots of complexities, right? There's always things, but there's we knew going in there was unique things because about the geography and things like that, but how, you know, finding out more and more is definitely the complexity about the reality here. And needing to figure out how to navigate it. Yeah. Lots of information. And I think I had a comment when I found out about the EV charging station, that since we started our work here, you know, there's lots of stuff is happening. Like, there's all sorts of stuff happening, and we keep on, you know, Marilyn and I and Tracy and Braden, we kept on talking about things, and then we'd see components of it happen. And so the EV charging was part of it. We know that there's the ones at the couples resort and things, and kind of going, oh, well, you know, like thinking of sustainability and tourism and things like that. And then hear that within 12 months, you're gonna have one and already thinking about doing the plans of that, right? So.
hopefully the second one.
So it's, things are changing, and I made reference about the, at the beginning, no, at the meeting, about, the additional units in existing residents. That program that's coming online through the district. And that was something else, again, looking at the housing and how to get.
That's a pretty limited program, though.
Yeah.
I think it's only $50,000 for the whole township.
Is it for the township?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But the point is that we now approve them through the zoning bylaw amendment. So that's a step. If somebody wants to do it now, they have the ability to do it, even if they have to do it in pocket. To have
Right.
an extra family member coming in or whoever they be kids.
Yeah. Yeah, which was something that we had been thinking of, right? And it's happening, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? Which is amazing. Any other comments or things that haven't been covered? Again, always the opportunity to let us know after the fact. And I don't think we don't worry about that. Just kind of a little bit of wrap up, and I was kind of talking at the beginning that we're gonna take all this information and everything else that we've kind of got on our plates about the research and things that we've done, and start really focusing our time on the writing and putting together thoughts that have been shared with us, ideas and things into the plan, and around these three Ps, around strategies and things like that, and start building it out. So that's our next step, and it's about 2 weeks that our plan is to have a draft document that will come back to the township for the township to have a look at, and then provide us feedback, with the intent of having that plan ready, like finished, by the end of this year, so by the end of December, and then coming back to the Economic Development Committee on a yet to be determined date in early 2025 with that, and doing a presentation of that document. So that's our next steps, and with the input, really do appreciate it, with all the input that people have given us around these tables when we've been in the community, the opportunity to be in your township and learn about it and experience it as well. And really do appreciate it, the opportunity of that. And if you do have other ideas and things that you want to share with us offline, I'm definitely open to that. Christine?
At further stages of this report, will tourism operators and so on, will we still be involved? Or is it just, here, we're done and we won't see the plan after?
Individual tourism operators?
As community members.
Right, so our intent and our plan was to present it back to the township. And to some extent, it's their document, yeah, and would be, like, it's not within our plan, it's partly about timelines, about getting the report done, and what our ask is to do. Right, so I'm not sure. Again, I would assume that it'll become a public document that others can, it's a township document, but it'll become a public document. That the Economic Development Committee, council, staff, yeah, and that the community can use, similar to the strategic plan and the well-being plan that have been done in the last.
Because the one thing that I just want to make sure, and I will state it again and again, is just recognition that this is Algonquin territory, right? That does need to be there. I will say it again and again and again.
Yeah. Yep. I guess from our perspective, the design that we've put together has been to get the input through the workshops, and through doing that to provide the information. And I like to think that this is a guiding document for the township, and for their purposes, it's their plan. And that your organization or individual businesses or others out there, I would hope would have their own plans that would speak to their stakeholders, their interests, and that hopefully there would be a connection between all the plans that would affect their things, whether they're the township plan here, whether they're RTO 12s, other chambers and things like that. And so I think there's perhaps an opportunity for another process for your organization to go through and to look at how you could action things within your organization, within a plan, and a strategy in particular. Yeah, so I think there's maybe mirroring that could happen. But this is a document that's a guiding document for the township.
Angela, I'll speak to that. There was no public consultation. The public consultation in this process is what we're doing. It's through the formal workshops. Yes, today there isn't a great number of the businesses, so to speak, here, but every one of them have had, that were here at the last one have been reached out to. So yes, they haven't had direct reach out to them. They were invited to attend. Those that could attend were here today. And this will go back to council as a draft document, well, the committee is a draft document for them to decide whether or not they wish to move it forward to council for approval. And that's the process. You've duly elected your council, and therefore they have the right and the obligation to establish the priorities of the municipality. And the consultations occurred over 6 hours or probably about 8 hours of workshops that this group has done. So that's where you'll get your information from, Angela.
Yeah.
That is, if I could answer that question, Angela, that is something that's up in the air right now. That is to be determined, but absolutely, the businesses and the ratepayers of South Algonquin will be fully advised of what the Economic Development, Tourism Economic Development Committee is doing. So there's going to be complete transparency.
So I'd like to thank everyone for, once again, for being part of the process and providing your input and feedback to us. And hopefully you'll be able to see when the plan's done and it goes through the process, the due process that it needs to go through. And you can see it and you'll be able to see it, that you'll see some ideas and things that you have suggested and challenged us with in there. I think all of us from our team, it's been a great, it is still a great experience. Not without its challenges, but it's a great experience. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you to you and your group for the work you've done. And thank you everyone for participating. As has been said, this will come back to council and council will make the decisions where we're going to go from here. But there's no agenda here to try to keep anyone from asking questions about this process. And we're certainly committed to try and work with all our members of our community and our agencies around the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
On that note, I gotta go. I got a patient to take care of.